Well, I'm glad we started out with the robot up front, and then of course the motorcycle, and you're going, what the hell is this video going to be about? Look at this. Man, I didn't bring my damn umbrella. That's a major thunderstorm right over there. And then I just wanted to get that view of the sun. Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. May 28th, 2025. Let's get into it. All right, so if you don't like, yeah, you can hear the thunder off in the distance. Man, I'm screwed. I am screwed if that comes my way. I can't tell which way the clouds are moving. Anyway, if you can't stand foul language, then cut this video off right now, because I'm very upset. And when I'm upset, I gotta let the F-bombs flow, man. It's just a given. I gotta let the F-bombs flow. So now I want you to, all the Trump MAGA people out there, understand I voted for Trump and he's done some good things. Doge was a great idea. Unfortunately, the Congress won't solidify Doge for whatever reason. Well, I imagine, you know, they don't want to be cut off from their income stream. Too many corrupt rhino Republicans. And you know, all the executive orders, those were good. But we're going to get into it. And now, what in the fuck is going on in the Trump administration? He's become the biggest warmonger that I've ever seen in my freaking lifetime. He's worse than Biden, man. And he doesn't seem to know what the fuck is going on. I don't have the clip, but he sat there in front of reporters and they pointed out, they said, did you know that there was an assassination attempt on Putin? Trump goes, oh, I didn't know anything about that, but Putin's gone crazy. He's bombing Ukraine. Do you know how fucking lucky we are to still be alive? Can you imagine if that drone strike, that NATO freaking drone strike on Vladimir Putin's helicopter had taken out the president of Russia? What do you think the response would have been? If I was Russia, I would have nuked. I would have just fucking launched a nuke. Right then and there. Be kind of like if Russia took Trump out. You think we wouldn't launch a nuke? We're all lucky to be alive, man. And Trump didn't even fucking know that his satellites and NATO targeting just tried to kill the president of Russia. What the fuck is going on, man? And of course, Trump's still supporting the genocide in Gaza. Genocide done, man. Genocide done. And we got a video later. I was going to play it up front, but I want to get into Ukraine here at the beginning of the video. because I can't believe how close we came all to dying. You think, oh, well, you know, just because they killed Putin, do you think that the Russians would have nuked the world? What do you think? Very least, Kiev would have been taken off the map. And then what do you think NATO's going to do then when Russia used an Oreshnik? And we're going to get into the armaments of Russia here in just a minute. What do you think NATO would have done if Russia just fucking wiped Kiev right off the face of the planet? Which is what I would have done if I was Russia. And then the other fucking thing, they launched 1,400 drones at Moscow. Many of those drones built by NATO, targeting by NATO. NATO troops are launching some of those drones. What the fuck? I can't believe we haven't all been burnt to cinders, man. Gosh, some of the vehicles here in Florida are loud, aren't they? Whew. Anyway, unbelievable. Let's get into the notes here just a little bit. So I wanted to give you some of the armaments in Russia up front. Okay, and we're going to be putting the picture up on these. You've got the Oreshnik, which I just talked about, which is an intermediate range ballistic missile. It's hypersonic. Speed Mach 10 plus. You know how fast fucking Mach 10 is? You can't even blink your eye and that missile will be right by you. The freaking sonic boom would probably just, if it was flying low enough to the ground, could destroy whole neighborhoods. My God. Nearly unstoppable, yeah. Well, I guess maybe if it hit a bird or a plane en route or something, that might stop it. I don't know. 6 warheads, 6 sub-munitions each. So 6 times 6, that's 36 freaking bombs moving at Mach 10, coming in on a target. And if you just, you know, suppose it released and they scattered, just like a cluster bomb, that's enough armaments to take out half a city. No fucking problem. And I mean, not take it out, turning it into a crater. Just the kinetic energy alone at Mach 10. Whew. All right, I'm sorry, I'm on my box, man. Range, 3,000 to 5,000 kilometers, nuclear or conventional tipped. Okay, no Western air defense can stop it, no shit. Then you've got the Iskander, which everybody, the Iskander-M, I imagine there's multiple versions of the Iskander, which is a short-range ballistic missile. Speed, Mach 6 to 7, 500 kilometer range, conventional or nuclear tipped missile. Mobile, yeah, it's also mobile, and it is precise. That's why so few civilians are getting killed in Ukraine, because they can really lay that Iskander right in on the target. Russia's go-to for rapid Kiev infrastructure strikes. Then you've got the Kinzhal Dagger, KH-47M2 Kinzhal. Speed, Mach 10. I didn't know it was that fast. Range, 2,000 kilometers. Conventional or nuclear warheads. Evasive, hits command centers fast. Launched from MiG-31s. It's evasive and fast, targeting high-value strikes like command centers. Whew. Sorry, the basket seems to want to go on a mind of its own while we're moving along here. Then you got the Kilobar cruise missile. Range, 2,000 plus kilometers. Subsonic, sea-land launched. High precision, evades radar. Used in swarms to overwhelm defenses. Could hit Kiev's energy or military sites. Whew. And then, of course, we got the Juran-3 drone. And we have a video of that, but let me read you the stats on that first. It can go up to 500 to 600 kilometers per hour. It's nearly untouchable by machine guns or artillery. Hits 700 kilometers per hour when striking targets. So the kinetic energy on that, while nowhere near, I mean, not even close to the Oreshnik, that's still, I mean, something traveling at 700 miles an hour. Damn, I keep dropping my notes here. Gosh dang it. Trying to juggle too many things. All right, we're almost done. Let's see, where is it at? All right, infrared or passive radar options make it a nightmare to intercept. 3.5 meters long, 3 meter wingspan, 9.1 kilometer altitude, and a 2-hour loiter time. And then, of course, we got a nice picture of the S-400-S-500 systems. Not offensive, but key for defense Russian defenses. Intercepts missiles, drones, protecting Russian assets. I mean, this is, you know, the backbone of the Russian anti-missile defense. It can enable border strikes by securing Russian airspace. And then we got a picture about recent strike. So anyway, that got crazy, didn't it? So let's get back to the first page. So now we get into a description of some of the recent strikes. Let me see if I can just keep these 2 pages right there. There we go. That might make life a lot easier. Alrighty, we got a cool picture right here. And then I'm going to read to you what just took place. 298 drones and 69 missiles turned dozens of strategic facilities into a fiery nightmare. You saw that picture. Russian forces have launched new massive airstrikes against Ukraine for the second night in a row. On the night of May 25th and 26th, the Russian armed forces launched one of their most powerful attacks against Ukraine using 298 drones, 69 missiles. Russian military analyst Mikhail Kordanov, you're reading it, says that these attacks are a harbinger of a major summer offensive by the Russian army. The summer offensive is already underway. I don't know why these people keep talking about the summer offensive. My God, you should see what's going on at the front lines. I mean, they got bombs coming off of planes. They got helicopters in there. Apologize for the sun in the background here. Maybe bring it down a little bit. Let's swing it around. We'll just sit here and just finish reading this. Okay, yeah, and you probably already know this. They've got 50,000 soldiers have already been concentrated in the Kharkov region, while another 10,000 in the eastern and southeastern parts of the front, or 100,000, excuse me. These are fresh units with new equipment and hungry for victories. Approximately 400 T-90M and T-72BM tanks, as well as 200 BMP-3 combat vehicles form the new offensive vanguard. 367 Russian aircraft, including drones, cruise missiles, and operational tactical missiles, took part in the airstrike from Saturday and Sunday. Military targets in, boy, I'm not even going to try to pronounce these, you're just going to have to read them, and Tenimpo regions were bombed. The Russian Air Force is now using modified versions of the Germain 2 drones with engines that allow them to reach speeds of over 290 kilometers per hour. The Russian Air Force is out now using modified versions of the Germain 2 drones. Yeah. All right, sorry. The weight of the warhead has tripled, which means triple the destructive power. Okay, so I want to cut a little bit out. Redacted did a lot better description of the attempt on Putin, and let's just watch that now.
Yeah. So a mirror fashion, because and he's talking he's talking esoterically, he's talking militarily and financially, both like Western businesses in Russia operating or fleeing or sanctions, also military strikes, massive military attacks inside of Russia. So
raise your hand if you want to be choked for Zelensky's war. You cool with that?
We are.
Do you want that?
No, I don't want that, but we already are being choked. I mean, and of course, these massive sanctions on Russia have only led to widespread inflation. You want to talk about the economic ruin that we're sitting in right now, largely responsible is the sanctions on Russia. Clearly. So Russia has launched a massive drone offensive against Ukraine in response, hitting key targets all over Ukraine. Here, just take a look at this on your screen. All of those red areas around Ukraine are all Russian attacks over the past 48 hours or so. And then, of course, you can see the areas of conflict. The red area controlled by Russia, which was formerly eastern Ukraine, now is controlled by the Russian Federation. And Russia is moving further, now beyond the front, creating a new front and a buffer zone, which we'll talk about in a second. So all of that land that you currently have, you could be prepared to lose it if you continue this madness. So now Russia, in these attacks, specifically hit the Antonov factory where those drones were built that targeted Putin in Kursk, and where they tried to kill Putin. Here were these attacks on the Antonov factory. Watch. So, and these attacks are using Shahed drones. So what you're seeing here are Shahed drones, very high up in the sky, firing their ordnance. And according to this report, they are now attacking in swarms, which you can see here. And these are what these look like here, massive swarms. Now, before the attack on Putin, they would send like 10 or 15 of these drones. Now they're sending massive swarms that sit at high distances, at high altitude, and out of range of Ukraine's air defense systems and the United States Patriot defense systems when they launch their attack. Just look at how many drones Russia is now using to attack targets. Look at the increase since this chart you're going to see here starts at 2022. Look at that, up until this week, and the massive spike in drone attacks now, instead of using actual Russian forces, using drones. As 404 reports, the U.S. is using SHORADs. Here's a SHORAD, a short-range air defense system, to try and stop them, which is great for shooting down things like, things you can see, like helicopters or other low-flying aircraft. That's laughable. And as he describes it, SHORAD, it's a joke and a bad one because they're not able to hit these drones. And as Moon of Alabama reports, Russia also took out some Patriot missile batteries over the weekend in the past 48 hours. And meanwhile, Russia is currently launching, we're in the middle of it. As we're speaking right now, within the past hour, Russia has doubled down on these attacks inside of Ukraine. So this is not like something that happened 48 hours ago and it's over. It's happening right now as we speak. Here is Moon of Alabama's report. Ukraine has reportedly 8 Patriot missile systems, which cover the capital of Kiev. On Saturday, at least one of those was destroyed in a Russian attack, and maybe even more, because the one, and by the way, this is amazing. I want you to watch this video. Here you can see the Patriot system being destroyed, and then the one that's adjacent to it finally launches after like a few seconds. Like it took a while. So Russia knocked out and destroyed a Patriot missile system, and then these other batteries start launching later on, as if they didn't even see anything coming. Take a look. So here you can see on the right side of your screen there, strike on a Patriot missile system, according to these reports. And then seconds go by. Finally, these air defense systems try to target some of these drones in the sky. And finally, one launches from there, and then on another part of Kiev launches these Patriots to try to bring down whatever was attacking them. It's like hitting ghosts at this point. And basically, NATO can't do anything to stop them.
Now, I just looked at my notes for a second. In December of 2022, President Biden announced that the U.S. would send Patriot missiles after much deliberation, had never sent anything that advanced before, really hemmed and hawed, did not want to escalate with Russia, and then decided to open the checkbook and send the Patriot missiles. So these are the things that we were originally told we would not send. Then we decided to capitulate and send. at great expense to us, only for this to be the fate. I just think it's worth rewinding the clock about how we reported on this 3 years ago.
Privateer Productions in our YouTube chat says, Clayton, 3 systems gone is the chatter right now. I haven't confirmed that, but thank you for that. Again, and I was being conservative, so you might be right. When I saw just one of these Patriot systems was destroyed, I sort of said, really? One? Just one? So 3 is what they're saying now. 3 of the 8 that they have remaining. And by the way, there's no more going to them. And the ATACMs that we said, they're gone. Like, we're not sending any more at this stage.
Well, Marco Rubio over the weekend says, well, we'll sell them to you. How does he expect to be paid back?
We'll send them to Israel for free, but to Ukraine, we're not sending any more of these things. And the way that a lot of course, we've covered this for years here on the show, but a way that a lot of these, Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, et cetera, were excited to have a lot of their old mothballed systems in the United States dusted off and sent to Ukraine. Like, a lot of these things didn't even work. A lot of these things were so out of date, were collecting dust essentially, and didn't work. And so they were able to clean out their closets and then go to Congress and get billions of dollars more back from Congress in order to start making new things. Maybe we'll send them to you. Maybe we won't. We'll just keep them here in the United States. But here, you can have all of our old stuff and then also pay us back for it later. So anyway, I mentioned this. So basically, NATO is not able to stop them from anything at this point. NATO has lost, but they're continuing to provoke the bear. Makes absolutely no sense. Russia responding now, creating a new front, expanding its Ukraine up to build a military buffer zone. Putin's buffer zone aims to create space both literally and politically from Ukraine's firepower, being able to attack inside of Russia. So the land that you could walk away with, or lose right now in peace talks, you're going to continue to lose land. I mean, we're talking Odessa. You're going to become a landlocked country. Zelensky desperately wants to continue this war because he knows that once this war ends, just like in Israel, Netanyahu out of power. Putin is not waiting around for peace talks, though. It seems that he's done being provoked and attacked by NATO, so his forces are now pushing further into Ukraine. These are also ads being reshared on social media. Again, Russian ads telling Ukraine to surrender or lose your life. Remember this? They're now popping back up again. Ukrainian soldier.
Ось він, твій контрнаступ. Ти вважав, що у тебе багато шансів зберегти життя. Але ти не захотів тікати з країни у жіночій сукні. Мамі не вистачило грошей, щоб дати хабара. А батькові не допомогли старі зв'язки. Ти намагався сховатися, але їм треба м'ясо. Бо леопарда їм жаль. І своїх дітей їм жаль. А тебе – ні. Тепер у тебе лише один. Останній шанс зберегти життя.
So who's left at this point? I mean, who's left at this point? But to me, the hardest part of the story is President Trump's response to all of this when he was asked about the attacks inside Ukraine, the large-scale attacks inside of Ukraine. He said Putin had gone crazy and he didn't understand what he was doing. Watch.
I don't know what the hell happened to Putin. I've known him a long time, always gotten along with him. He's killing a lot of people. I don't know what's wrong with him. What the hell happened?
What the hell happened? Did Putin go crazy? Decided one afternoon that he'd like to destroy a drone factory? The very same drone factory responsible for the drones that were just sent to try to assassinate him inside of Russia? It's just a random thought. He's gone crazy. Or did NATO just try to kill him? And that's exactly what happened. So when Trump was pressed on this by reporters, he didn't seem to know what they were talking about. He didn't know that Putin had been nearly assassinated. So were advisors kept back from Trump and weren't able to tell him the truth of this? Watch.
Can I follow up on that? A Russian commander reportedly said that Putin was almost caught in the middle of a drone attack from Ukraine. So do you have any...
I haven't heard that, but maybe that would be a reason. I don't know, but I have not heard that.
Why?
You can even recreate any image you see on the internet. Just upload your own content and it will match the style and create it for you.
Why have I heard that? And you haven't heard that?
Yeah, like we all knew that. It was kind of obvious kind of immediately. So people in the chat are like, wait a minute, Trump didn't even know about the drone attack? No. And even Alex Jones just published a video, I think last night or whatever, saying, he's like, it seems like, I don't know, there's some people keeping this information from Trump. He didn't know that there was a massive assassination attempt on Putin's life, and it was coordinated with NATO telemetry and targeting. So to me, this is the real story here. Not that Putin responded and hit a few drone factories, destroyed some Patriot systems, and is ramping up a massive attack right now and is moving a front to provide more of a buffer zone to Russia. Like that, yeah, we knew that was going to come. And peace talks would crumble as a result. But the real story here is that NATO, somebody's like undermining him. I mean, he's not one to like lie. He stood there. He's like, I didn't hear that. Most people, I think the mark of people when I think it's very telling. Like if you're ever in a conversation with someone and someone's like, hey, have you ever read the book or have you ever heard this thing, this fact about this thing? For someone to say, no, I've never heard that, or I never knew that. Mm-hmm. Like, and Trump stood there. He's like, I didn't hear that. I didn't know that. If he wanted to appear like high and mighty, he'd be like, yeah, I knew all about that, but I don't think that's the reason why he made that attack. I mean,
so you're saying he's showing humility and also letting us know that he's not being properly briefed.
Yeah, I mean, there are a number of people saying, I don't know who his Ukrainian advisors are around him right now, but someone's hiding something from Trump. Because I didn't see, by the way, I don't know. I mean, if he's watching Fox News or something, I don't know if he's watching the mainstream media, if they're reporting on the truth of what happened here. Because the mainstream media desperately wants Russia to collapse. They desperately want neocons to have their way and move towards full-scale war, a NATO war with Russia. That's what they want. That's what they've been preparing us for a long time. So, I mean, and many are wondering, like, why doesn't Putin just launch a massive, devastating attack of Ukraine? Well, he's never done that. He never responds the way CNN or Fox News would like. He's much more reserved, even if it was an attack on his life. He targeted a drone factory specifically. Doug McGregor pointed this out. Colonel McGregor said, Putin has taken a position that all I really have to do is be patient and continue to advance. He has the absolute support of his population. Russia is very cohesive, the complete opposite of the West right now. Regardless of your feelings on their nation, they know what they are about, and they know what their interests are, and we do not. So let me just add this part of the story here, because I think this is an important side note. I've seen a lot of sort of like conservative media blowing this story up over the past 24 hours, and it's factually inaccurate. So let's set the stage here. Western media has really gotten this German part of the angle of the story wrong. Last night, Germany's Chancellor Merz said this during an interview, that Germany and ostensibly NATO has declared no more limits for weapons systems into Ukraine. That, quote, Ukraine can also defend itself by attacking military positions in Russia. Here's Friedrich Merz. Watch.
Es gibt keinerlei Reichweitenbeschränkungen mehr für Waffen, die an die Ukraine geliefert worden sind, weder von den Briten noch von den Franzosen noch von uns, von den Amerikanern auch nicht. Das heißt also, die Ukraine kann sich jetzt auch verteidigen, indem sie zum Beispiel militärische Stellungen in Russland angreift. Das konnte sie bis vor einiger Zeit.
So, the media ran with that story over the past few hours, even though it was already the position of NATO powers months ago. Here is the Financial Times. Germany's Merz backs Ukraine's long-range missile strikes on Russia. Here's Euronews. Western allies lift Ukraine's restrictions on long-range weapons, says Merz. Well, that's just ignorant reporting. Because, as Moon of Alabama pointed out, this is all fake news. As we reported here months ago, Biden had already lifted these sanctions and restrictions. And there's nothing new about what's going on here at all. He was just like reiterating basically what Joe Biden said months ago, that Ukraine has carte blanche to use long-range weapons and attack inside of Russia in an effort to increase the war, basically. But the Western media, of course, would love nothing more than an escalation of this. So for them to run headlines like Germany is escalating war against Russia by pulling off the limiters and governors and allowing no restrictions on long-range weapons inside of Russia. That's fake news, because Biden had already done that months ago.
Well,
before he left office.
The media audience may have forgotten it, but probably Russia has not.
Okay, so that was redacted on exactly what I was talking about. But let's keep on going of what's taken place in the last week. So while negotiations were being prepared in Istanbul on May 16th, a cargo ship with ammunition and weapons headed for Ukraine sailed from the port there. The action was carried out in complete secrecy, but Russian intelligence revealed everything, and soon the gifts from Turkey exploded. It was a hell of an explosion, and you can see the picture right there. Then, Odessa residents could not sleep. The explosions lasted for hours. Russian missiles also hit warehouses in Odessa and Mykolaiv regions, according to the underground coordinator, Sergei Lebedev. The biggest blow fell on the second port pier. It had already struck there once, among other things. Damaged the container ship MSC Levante F, which then had to be replaced in Turkey. The Russian Ministry of Defense confirms that the destruction of the giant container carrier with military cargo inside there, about 100 containers with unmanned systems, ammunition, equipment from Telegram. All right, let's move along. Tell you what, I'm going to take a break, get past this wall, because once I get past here, I can walk and talk at the same time. Let's hold up for just a sec. All right, let's continue the video. Now that I can walk and talk and push the dog along here. The main limiting factor has been formally abolished. This is talking about the new, the Taurus missiles, or the German missiles, I think they're called Taurus. Anyway, those are long-range missiles, and Germany has given the green light to use those against Russia. You can see where all this is going? I mean, what the fuck, man? Try to kill Putin, 1,400 drones launched on Moscow. I just gave you the rundown of the arsenal that Russia has. Who the fuck does NATO think they're playing with here? Why in the fuck are you poking the damn bear, man? What the fuck is wrong with the Trump warmongering administration? All right, never mind. The fear of a direct clash with the Russian Federation if its rear is defeated. Now this barrier has been removed, and the question of application is a question of military expediency, not politics. The legal door has opened for the legalization of strikes on Crimea, Belgorod, Rostov, Donetsk, Kerch, airfields, headquarters, air defense systems, communication centers, and now anything that falls under the definition of a military target can be attacked. By NATO! Ain't by Ukraine! Ukraine can't launch those fucking missiles, you dumb sons of bitches! All the targeting data has to be programmed into those missiles. It comes from satellites. You think Ukraine has a single fucking satellite? You dumb sons of bitches! Russia knows who's going to be launching these things. If you hit something in Russia with one of these, what do you fucking think the response is going to be? I imagine Germany's looking at an arrestic right now. And I hope they kill that stupid-ass prime minister. What is his name? Merz? I would just hit the freaking presidential palace right there and say, hey, Germany, you killed 27 to 40 million of our people in World War II. Welcome to my little friend, the Areshnik. The West has also taken political responsibility for the escalation, which it recently denied. This is no longer Ukrainians attacking with their own hands. This is a strike with direct approval, instructions, satellite targeting, and NATO logistics. No shit. Well, we got through page 2. Thank God. I'm getting tired just reading all of this. So, we're going to get into, let's go ahead and watch that video by Colonel McGregor. And it really hit home for me. I wanted to put it up front in the video, but I felt it was more important to talk about Ukraine first. But in this video, McGregor talks about, I think it was just one friend of his that committed suicide. You know, it's all not just about going to war. Okay, if you've been there, you come back damaged goods. I don't care if you've got any sort of conscience, that is. I guess if you're a psychopath, some of those guys come back and, well, they're still a psychopath. I mean, so they got mental problems anyway. But anyway, because I was thinking, there's not a single person that I served in the 2003 war that I know that's alive today. And I'm not that damn old. I'll give you my age. Well, no, let's keep some things private. You can always look it up. But I mean, I'm not that damn old. And my friends are dead. I had to watch my best friend die in Richmond. I know that's irrelevant. My family's dead. I mean, it's been crazy. But anyway, let's watch that video.
Americans, 34 years ago, it was my honor and privilege to lead American soldiers to victory in battle, to witness the courage and valor of American soldiers at a time and a place when death was all around us. Fortunately, we sustained very few casualties. However, in the years that followed, I watched many of the soldiers I served with pass on, not on foreign battlefields, but on American soil, frequently forgotten by the nation they served. In one case, a major who served with me as a lieutenant in 1993 committed suicide. The memories of the friends he lost in Iraq during a pointless, self-defeating occupation after 2003 were more than he could bear. Yet who today remembers the Iraq War that began in 2003, or that the American military intervention was justified on the utterly false grounds that WMD, that is, weapons of mass destruction, were being built inside Iraq? The conflict took the lives of nearly 4,500 Americans in uniform, not including contractors, of course, and cost $2 trillion. At least 800,000 Iraqi citizens were internally displaced, and several 100,000 Iraqi citizens lost their lives. Tonight, I break my silence, not just for the young officer that committed suicide, but for the wives, husbands, children, and parents who endured the crushing grief of loss, who received a folded flag, and were left alone to trace the name of a loved one on a cold gravestone. War is a predator. It consumes our best, our strength, and our resources, but its most terrible damage is often unseen. War also forces Americans to embrace brutality, to justify barbarism, to become something harder, colder, less humane. President Trump promised to stop the endless wars. Now he really needs to do it. Americans currently stand at what Lincoln would call the fiery trial through which we pass: war with Iran or peace for America. The choice will echo through generations. We're very fortunate. The Iranians are willing to talk to us again, and perhaps we can reach a solution. But there are no guarantees. That will take leadership from the highest levels from President Trump. Let me speak plainly about what awaits if Washington chooses war with Iran. Within hours of the first strike, Iran will seal the Strait of Hormuz, choking the artery through which 1/5 of the world's oil flows. Gas prices will not merely rise, they may erupt like a volcano, burning through family budgets. The economic security Americans built with their own hands since the pandemic disaster could be wrecked. Immediate price increases and loss of supplies could also result. Yet the cost in treasure stands as nothing before the cost in blood. Iran is not the Iraq of our past wars. Iran consists of 85 million people, fortified by mountains when the Roman Empire was young, defended by modern weapons, and effectively allied with nuclear-armed powers, Russia and China, that have drawn clear and unambiguous red lines. For the first time since missiles stood in Cuba, we face not only the shadow, but the real substance of nuclear confrontation. Not for our country, but for the regional ambitions of a foreign state 7,000 miles from home. We must face the truth that weaker allies often attempt to make their wars our wars. While we assistalize America's soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines should not be sacrificed for territorial expansions that serve no vital American strategic interest. I did not witness war through the PowerPoint slides or sanitized screens in situation rooms, but through bloody fog of war. I tell you with the full authority of my battlefield experience, this war, if it comes with Iran, is not necessary. This war is also not just. This war is not worthy of America. We must not sacrifice American lives on foreign soil while American soil thirsts for our attention. We must not trade American prosperity for another state's regional hegemony while American prosperity deteriorates. We must not abandon America's democratic principles for imperial ambition, while those principles, our best hope for justice, fade for lack of devotion. The true strength of America has never been measured by regimes toppled, but by lives improved. While we secure the borders of other people's states, our communities crumble. While we send billions abroad, Americans must choose between medicine or food. This is not America first. This is America last. Imagine instead what we might create at home with the trillions this war will cost. Hospitals in rural areas where mothers drive hours to deliver. High-speed rail connecting our cities like steel arteries pulsing with the lifeblood of commerce. Clean energy systems harnessing the same sun that warmed Washington at Valley Forge. Schools where every child, from Appalachia to the inner city, receives education worthy of our republic. The Constitution placed the power to decide for peace or war in your hands. Between now and midnight, you should contact your representatives and senators with one message: no war with Iran. Put America first. Make their phones ring until they cannot ignore the righteous thunder of a republic reclaiming its constitutional inheritance. Washington can choose diplomacy over war in its pursuit of a solution. There are many approaches that have yet to be considered. As Lincoln reminded us, ours is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. Let us be the American generation that broke the chain of endless, pointless war, that faced the fierce urgency of peace with the same resolve with which we face the necessity of war. Let us choose the courage of peace over the delusion of unnecessary conflict. Let us choose the wisdom of restraint over the recklessness of pride. Wars occur when vanity and self-delusion lead to the wrong choice. And if we make the right choice, generations of Americans yet to be born will look back and say, here stood Americans who remembered their oath, who honored their Constitution, who chose the Republic over the Empire, and who, in doing so, saved the last best hope on earth. Thank you for listening. God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America.
All right, so that was McGregor, and he said it about the best that I could think of. And that gives you the danger of, and Trump wants to wage war on Iran. What the fuck is wrong with the Trump administration? Oh, he's gonna be the peace president, all right. He's gonna get us all fucking killed is what he's gonna do. I don't know what the fuck's going on in the Trump administration. Where's Tulsi Gabbard? I thought she was be talking sweet nothings into Trump's ear about how peace is a good thing. God mighty. All right, so let's get into some other stuff here. So this is Rand Paul. I thought this was just an interesting post. The national debt is over 36.9 trillion. That equates to more than 107,000 per citizen, more than 323,000 per taxpayer, and a debt to GDP ratio of 122%. Now, if you want to watch McGregor on some videos, he's talking about the fact that we are heading for a financial crisis. And I mean, this ain't going to be like 2008, because you're not climbing out of this one. It will put us in a Great Depression. and the dollar will be worthless. And I've talked about in a previous video about how the treasuries are not selling and that the 20-year treasury is already over 5%. So you're going to come to a point where you can't refinance the debt no more. And that means you're in default. And that's all remember the old cartoon? That's all she wrote, folks. That's all she wrote. Oh, I'm getting wet now. So anyway, let's get up to the next video. This is Lindy Lee. Like I said, I'm a huge fan of hers. This is another video of her talking about, well, I'll just read it to you. Over the past 4 years, we did not have a president. We had a cabal of unelected presidents, including Jill Biden. We had a secret group of hacks running the most powerful nation in the world, a gang of Biden loyalists wielding the auto pin. Let's watch that video now.
Because I want to talk about that doctor. You know who the doctor was? Kevin O'Connor. This is a family business associate. He had a financial interest in propping up the Biden regime, and that is a fundamental problem here. People lied about his cognitive decline because they wanted power. Let's be perfectly honest about that. Exactly. Jill Biden, and I will name the names. Jill Biden, Steve Ricchetti, Mike Donnellan, Anita Dunn, Anthony Bernal. These were Jeff Zients. These were the people running our country. We had a council of presidents for the past 4 years. We didn't have an elected president. We had these unelected hacks who understood that Biden was our final gravy train, that as soon as he went off into the sunset, they were done. So they wanted to drag this on for forever.
All right. And then I thought this was a good one. Because, you know, Bernie Sanders likes to get out there. We must tax the oligarchs. We must tax the oligarchs. We must save Medicare, Medicaid. Oh, but it's okay if I make money. Let's read some statistics on Bernie Sanders. Man of the people, my ass. This is from Mila Loves Joe, or Mila Joy. Top 10 Bernie Sanders contributors during the last presidential campaign. Bernie sure takes the money from big corporations. And what is the USPS doing? Since when can government agencies donate to a campaign? It's a good damn question. So we got Alphabet, which is $528,509. University of California, $387,506. I'll just give you the big number. Amazon, $226,000. Microsoft, $197,000. United States Post Office, that one, I agree, that don't make no damn sense. $176,000. Apple, $162,000. Kaiser Permanente, $145,000. I'll round it up. $135,000. AT&T. Walmart, $127,000. IBM, $118,000. Is that unbelievable or what? Yeah, Bernie, man of the people, man. And by the way, he lives in a mansion, and he might own 2 mansions now, and I don't know how many millions of dollars he's worth. And good God, he's been in the government since before I was born, I think. I mean, and I'm an old dude, man. Oh my God, what the hell's wrong with people? So anyway, I want to finish off with this, with a picture for you, because that's it for the video today, unless I think of something else. Peace out. Stay free. And while I'm talking here, you can see the picture now. Show me an American ghetto, and I'll show you a place where Democrats are in power. No shit. You know, I wanted to get the sunset on the video, but I did want to talk about things because, believe it or not, I do have some friends. And anyways, I guess it was a recent conversation with a person, and they were, man, you know, I can't believe, I'm wishing some of them drones had hit Moscow. You know, what is with the hatred for Russia? You know what I mean? I mean, maybe somebody explain this to me. You know, as far as I know, Russia has never attacked the United States. Okay? Now, they did help Vietnam during the proxy war that we fought there, you know. They did invade Afghanistan, I guess, you know, but we did that too. So, I've never met too many Russians, but the ones I have, they were pretty nice people. I know a lot of people that have traveled, or I've watched them on TV. I shouldn't say I know them. I feel like I know them because I watch Ray McGovern and Judge Napolitano and a lot of the shows. And they talked about, you know, how beautiful Moscow was and that the people there were very nice and treated them very well. You know, the subway was very clean. So what is with, and also Russia is always on their deals, you know, any sort of business deal that they enter into, they actually follow the letter of the contract. They're very honest people. In fact, you know, everybody says, well, I don't know what Putin's going to do next. All you got to do is listen to what Putin says. What Putin says, Putin does. And that's true of all the Russian government. You know, Russia's one of the few states that, you know, if they say these are our requirements for Ukraine to you know, surrender, that's it. That's what they are. you don't need to sit there and guess. Oh, you know, well, we're going to change this or we're going to change that. No, Russia says these are our minimum requirements, and they said. But the thing is, the West, it's like they got to be a parrot. They got to repeat them over and over and over and over and over again. And everybody says, I don't know what Russia wants. I mean, I got them memorized. I've heard it so many times. They want the regime change in Kiev because they don't consider the government there legitimate. You know, they want the 4 oblasts, which is going to change now to 7 or 8, okay, as the war goes on. So, you know, I mean, they've already fought in blood. They want no, Ukraine can never enter NATO, just like we wouldn't want Mexico part of the Warsaw Pact if it still existed. We wouldn't want Canada part of the Warsaw Pact because, you know, they've allowed the Baltic states to join NATO, which I imagine, well, I guess they're so insignificant. I mean, Russia could just, they'd be less than a flea on a piece of flypaper, you know. I mean, so there's no danger of the Baltic states is doing anything, you know. But Ukraine was a whole different story. They had 800,000 men under arms. So what is with the hatred for Russia? And the other thing I like about Russia is they gave Edward Snowden asylum, okay? He's actually living, from what Ray McGovern says, a really good life there. And he's very, very happy. You know, I considered Edward Snowden one of the biggest heroes of my lifetime. A man of massive intellect and courage, you know. So what is, and also the trade. Russia has always kept a fair price on trading with us in aluminum, and paper, and diesel, and oil, and natural gas, and a whole plethora of aluminum, rare earth metals, everything. They never tried to gouge us. You know, even when Hillary Clinton gave them sole ownership of all the uranium, they still didn't rip off the world. All they've done, and then of course they've got now an alliance with North Korea. Actually, they're sending food to North Korea to keep them fed. Why do you think North Korea is so beholden to Russia? They've got a pact with Iran. They've given Iran just defensive capabilities as far as I know. No, I think they might have sold them some fighters. So what's with the hatred? Look at us. We sell fighters to everybody. You know, how many bases do you think Russia has around the world? I know of one in Syria. How many do we have? 700, I think, last count, around the world. So I don't get it, man. Just want to have that discussion. Why does everybody hate Russia so much? I know the color is different here. I'm just going to add this on to the Russia talk about why does everybody hate Russia so much. Another thing I wanted to point out to you, Russia is the largest Christian nation on earth. The Orthodox Christian religion is very, very rooted in Russian society. Putin is an Orthodox Christian and visits the church on a regular basis and has restored many of the churches that were destroyed in the Soviet Union. Just wanted to point that out to you. Just wanted to get a scenic picture as the sun sets. It's kind of why I like walking along this road. Just thought that was a cool look of those orange clouds right there. Wow, let's get this on the video, but I did want to add one last thing. Check out the latest episode of Liberty and Finance. There's a guy on there, and he does a calculation to say how much silver you would need to survive a year, or maybe, I think it might have been 3 months, 6 months, and then he did a year, and in a hyperinflation environment. And it wasn't much. It's a lot less than I thought. You can get by on just a few, maybe 20, 25 ounces of silver for the first 3 months. And then after that, you know, multiply that times 3, so 100 ounces of silver, you could go a whole year in a hyperinflation environment. Just saying, and right now the silver's running between 33 and 34.